What's up, men's physique fans? The 2024 Arnold Classic has just wrapped up and we have a new crowned champion. And it's safe to say, the first show of the season did not disappoint. So let's take a quick minute to review the first call outs. But first, I'm gonna break down the top 4 and why that they were deserving of that placing. Let's get into it. And coming in at number 4, we have Chiron Holden. Now this is a massive win for Chiron, not necessarily because of where he plays, but because of who he placed in front of. Chiron brought a very well-balanced physique from top to bottom, front and back. The one thing I loved about Chiron in today's Arnold Classic was the manipulation of his posing to make himself look more aesthetic. His hand on hip, slight angle shot really showed off the aesthetic package that we all actually doubted and knocked him for from the previous shows and years. We always said Chiron Holden is too big, but he came in at 200 pounds for this show. His weight cap is 209. It's kind of crazy to think that theoretically he could put on 9 pounds of mass and still fit what the division is looking for. Now, does he need to? No. Chiron, I think, brought one of the best packages, a more downsized package than he's ever brought in, and I think he was rewarded for it today. But was it enough? It wasn't. And honestly, if you ask me, I think Chiron should have been either second or third. But coming in at number 3, we have Vtor Chavez. Now, Vtor has been somebody who has been taking over the men's physique division by storm, placing at 13th at the 2022 Olympia, 23 Olympia, placing 9th, and now at the Arnold Classic, placing 3rd. And I will say, he is somebody who I also thought should have been a little bit higher, battling it out with Chiron for that second place spot, but I want to give credit where credit's due. Vtor has been extremely consistent. Even through the multiple coaches changes and traveling from Brazil, this man just has no excuse. He shows up. Now, one knock about Vtor has always been his midsection. He looks great when you're facing head on, but he actually also tweaked his posing to show a little bit more of a side angle, which I actually think doesn't show off an aesthetically pleasing look, because now you see his angle not from head on, but more from the side, which a distension from his midsection does throw him off a little bit. But one thing about Vtor is he brings an extremely consistent look with conditioning, with fullness, and he brought up his back tremendously over the years, which will always have him in that conversation. Vtor has a very aesthetically pleasing physique. Though he might not have the best taper, his lats are so wide that it just forces a taper. And again, Vtor is just here to stay. You see somebody who's also a little bit more dense, somebody who might theoretically, we think, might have issues hitting that weight cap, but honestly, the way that he is being so consistent while other people are just not being, I think Vtor is going to be somebody you'll find in that top 5 at the Arnold and the Olympia for many years to come. And coming in at number 2, potentially the biggest upset of the Arnold Classic, we have Venicius Matas. And guys, we've seen him beat people like Kaiki Pro, Diogo Montenegro, and Vtor Chavez at previous shows, but none as big as the Arnold Classic and even the Olympia. Dating back to 2022 and 2023, he never placed at the Olympia. He never placed at any of these big shows, but today, he was rewarded. We've always given him credit for having such a dominant attribute, which is his back. But he's always was knocked for not having a matching front, very similar to my physique. But one thing I will say about him, he nailed his look today, his fullness, his conditioning, and of course the detail through the back. His outer lats matched with his erectors was just hands down, undeniably the best on stage. I think today the back got rewarded. And honestly, for anybody who might be demotivated about their own placings or doubting themselves, use Venicius Matas as a prime example of anything is possible. Because that's the only thing I can keep saying to myself when it comes to watching Venicius being placed in that second place spot. It's insane. And though I did believe that Vtor was more balanced and Chiron was more comparable front to back than Venicius, I'm not going to take anything away. This man worked his ass off. He got to that second place spot, and again, his back was rewarded. And coming in at number 1 on this list, we can finally say Diogo Montenegro brings home the Arnold Classic 2024 title. We've seen Diogo scratching for that first place victory, whether it was the Arnold Classic or the Olympia for the last couple of years, but has fallen short, and recently has now fallen back from 3rd to 5th place at the Olympia, and I think everybody began to write him off when that happened. But when you take a step back and look at it, Diogo has always had one of the best structures in men's physique, if not the best structure in men's physique. He is not too big, right? And one thing that I want to say is he is somebody who is balanced. One thing that I love that Diogo did, he listened. He used to always be somebody to wear the longer shorts, somebody who came right over his kneecap. But with the new rule, he found shorts that were 2 inches above it, showing off a little bit more of the thigh. And even though he doesn't have the biggest set of legs, he listened to the rule. And we'll get into that in a minute. But Diogo has had a lot of trouble over the last couple of years with inconsistencies. We always knew his potential of his physique, but I don't think anybody saw this one coming. And do I believe that he should have placed first? I do. I think he was balanced from front to back. I think that he is somebody who, again, was finally rewarded for what the division is now looking for. Very similar to Ryan Terry with the structured aspect. I think he was conditioned. I think his knockabout Diogo was always his midsection. I think it was very spot on today. I don't think it was 100%. I still think his Arnold look in 2022, I believe, was his best look to date. But it was enough to win the show. And I could not be happier for him. And honestly, just for the division in itself, because he's the definition of an OG who's been scratching to get it, very similar to how Ryan Terry has been, and he did it. So congratulations, Diogo, a great Arnold Classic 2024 champion and an ambassador for the men's physique division. All right, guys, we got to talk about this one because it's safe to say my predictions were very wrong. Those who I thought were going to be in first and second didn't even sniff the final call out, and I'm going to give you my exact reason why. In 2023, a new rule was announced, and it was emphasized that the men's physique division, though is looking for a specific look, and in order to help with that look, there would be a weight cap. They also wanted to make sure that because of the weight cap, people weren't neglecting their legs. And I think it's safe to say that the two who I thought were going to win, Emanuel Hunter and Cory Morris, maybe just didn't follow that rule, and they were knocked down because of it. I think their physiques weren't necessarily off. I don't think Cory Morris missed the mark. I don't think that Emanuel Hunter was a worse version of himself than the last year's Arnold when he placed second. But what I do believe happened was they were knocked because of, one, Cory Morris maybe not having too big of legs and having longer board shorts coming down to his knee to hide it. And Emanuel, same thing, wearing the same shorts as he does in the past, which was before the new rule was implemented, which again, I think Emanuel actually has some solid legs, enough to fill out his board shorts. I don't think Venicius, for example, had massive legs, but I think he listened to the rule, and because of that, he wasn't knocked. Maybe not rewarded, but wasn't knocked. And I think these guys were knocked because of not following the new rule. I think even on a bad day, Cory Morris should be in the top 3 of this lineup. And I don't think that he was necessarily off, but I think his back wasn't the best version of his back. But again, Cory Morris never gets rewarded for his look. But when you take a step back and maybe think of it from an aspect of him not necessarily following a rule, maybe he's getting punished for it. Same thing with Emanuel Hunter. I think Emanuel looked very good. I think he was dry, hard. I think he needed some more detail though at his back, which has always been a knock. But it's crazy to think that these guys weren't even in the final call out when majority of the men's physique division had them winning these shows. So that is the reason why I think these two were not in that final call out and in the conversation for the win. And that's a very easy fix. I think these guys are going to jump in the shows right around the corner and go in and wreak some havoc. I know Cory Morris is definitely somebody who is going to make the men's physique division feel them this year after not winning this year's Arnold Classic. And I think Emanuel Hunter is going to follow suit and snag that qualification over the next 1 or 2 shows. And I think it's safe to say the men's physique division, the 2024 year, it started off with a bang. And one thing that I love about this sport, and that's something that is very clear, is that the underdog will always have the opportunity to dethrone anybody who's in front of them. If you really think about it, take a step back till Friday. Wesley Vissers dethroned our previous 2023 Arnold Classic Physique champion in Ramon Dino. Nobody saw that one coming. Ramon was a second place finisher at the Olympias and a first place finisher at the last year's Arnold Classic, but yet and still a seventh place finisher at the Olympia came in and won the Arnold Classic, and it was deserving. He beat a third place finisher, a fourth place finisher, all at the Olympia in one night at the Arnold Classic. And the same thing when it comes to the men's physique division. Diogo winning the Arnold Classic. Venicius Matas, somebody who was never placed at a big show, is now the second place runner-up at the Arnold Classic. And Vtor consistently moves up every single year. This is a year of underdogs. Your predictions might be one thing, but it comes down to the show day and who nails it on that day. It's all about the peak. And if you're out there watching this video and you're doubting whether you can get a pro card, win your regional show, or even be an Olympian, or even be Olympia champion, I can promise you this: it's in any given Sunday sport. Head down, hood up, go get it. And again, the Arnold Classic 2024 has proven that. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Comment below, what do you guys think of these placings? This has been one crazy start to the year, and I cannot wait to bring you more videos in 2024.